why are people leaving Florida and moving to Connecticut? I've had a lot of families reach out to me as I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Connecticut and I help people with relocating. And they're reaching out to me and asking me about the state, and some of them are even choosing to move here. And so I figured I'd cover why they are leaving Florida for the state of Connecticut, just so you can know the differences between the states. The first reason that I'm getting from multiple people is it's just too crowded. And we know Florida is crowded because there are about 1,800 people moving there a day. So Florida already has millions of people, and then you have more people migrating to the state. So it's becoming really crowded. I'm having people tell me the infrastructure can't handle it. It's just too crowded when they're driving. It's just crowded everywhere. So, back in the day, people thought of Florida as spacious and all its areas, but because there's so many people migrated, especially during COVID, the population has dramatically increased, but the infrastructure hasn't increased. And so a lot of people are complaining about the crowds. Whereas in Connecticut, it is crowded in very specific areas, but most of the state is open. And the way our cities are made, if you happen to be in a city, then it's kind of spread out. It's not like New York where everything has to go up. Connecticut is open, and so there's just like a lot more space. So you don't have these people all up on top of each other. And some people just like the option of they will drive to the crowds when they want to, and then they come home to peace and quiet. So there's that. That's one of the major reasons. It's just too crowded now. A couple of years ago it wasn't, but now everyone is just on top of each other. And mind you, that leads us to the second reason, the weather. It is really, really hot. And I mean, I'm a hot person. I like to be hot. I do not like to be cold. I'm that person that throws heated seats on ASAP. People make fun of me all of the time, but it's just too hot. Global warming, all that population. It's just too humid now for some people. So this is the catch-22. People move to Florida because they want to be in warm weather, but are they actually outside? Because the humidity is usually underestimated by people who are visiting. It is totally different to visit and enjoy yourself for a week and come back to a cooler state than to live in the humidity. If you go from your car to, your house to your car, your condo to your car, and you're sweltering, you're sweating, glistening, whatever you want to call it, just that little teeny bit, and are you actually outside? So the first thing I did is someone reached out to me and I was like, oh, do you want to live near a beach? Because I'm assuming they're coming from Florida. They must want to be near water or whatever. And they're like, I hate the heat. So if you hate the heat, then absolutely Connecticut is a great place because we have all 4 seasons. So it's going to be hot, of which we enjoy, but it's never that hot. And when it does get hot, you have ways to cool off. So a lot of the condos and townhouses have pools. If you have a single family home, you can have a pool. We have beaches. If you move to certain towns, there are private beaches for that town only, which again covers it's not going to be too crowded. So if you do go to the beach, you just move to a town where it has private beach, and then you don't have to worry about a million people being on top of you, even when you go outside to cool off. So you're going to get all 4 seasons in Connecticut. And if you're that person that's like, yes, I like snow, but I don't want to have to shovel snow. Again, there are so many options. We do have parts of the state that are going to get snowfall and it's going to look pretty, but it's just not going to stick. And then we do have options. So you don't have to necessarily deal with snow. If you have a townhouse or a condo, they're going to handle the snow for you. So you kind of have control over whether you're going to have to deal with snow and things like that. So as a realtor, I am going to look at things in a different way, right? People come to me and they need me to help them find their homes. And so I have to look at all of these factors. And when you are getting a mortgage, you usually need to get home insurance. You would want your home to be insurable. And so insurability is a huge reason there is a mass exodus out of Florida. You've seen the news, there's an insurance crisis. And I think we need to think of it in terms of actual numbers. So I'm gonna give you numbers of different people who've reached out to me. There's somebody who's paying $10,000 a year in their home insurance in Florida and they didn't even have claims. That's $1,000 a month. You don't get equity or you don't get anything back from insurance. You need to have homeowners insurance. But unlike your house with the mortgage, if you pay towards your mortgage, you're going to get something out of it. But insurance, that's just money you're not getting back. And so people, so that's a huge deal. Do you want to live in a house that's uninsurable? Like you want to have insurability. And so People who are moving up here, their insurance is 50% less, and that's for home and for auto. So they're looking at it going, okay, I'm saving $2,000, $3,000 a month on a monthly basis of leaving the state. So a lot of people go to Florida because they're like, oh, it's, so affordable. But you have to remember supply and demand. Because so many people move down there, we have to go into the houses. The housing has gone up dramatically. It's only a slight difference right now between the housing in Florida and the housing in Connecticut in terms of housing costs. But when you add in how much insurance is, it's actually cheaper to live in Connecticut. And we're one of the richest states in the nation. So it's weird how it leveled out. And there's all these conspiracy theories and everybody has these ideas like, is Florida being targeted or whatever have you? But at the end of the day, the average person is like, I don't want to spend $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month on insurance when I can move to a state and spend like $250 or $300 and then have less of the other things I mentioned, the weather, the natural disasters, which I'm going to cover, have it being too crowded. So insurability is huge. Right now, there's only about two insurance companies in the entire state of Florida because so many people have moved out. Unfortunately, for a lot of Floridians, one of the hurricanes that passed, there's so many people's claims were denied or reduced. Natural disasters definitely comes up on the list. Natural disasters comes up on the list for reasons why people are leaving Florida, because it just seems to be that they're really frequent and they're also just very destructive. So even if your home isn't necessarily, damaged by a natural disaster, when a lot of this state is affected like that, it does cause an inconvenience because an area that you work at may have been hit, or an area that your friends and family are may have been hit. So you're definitely going to be affected if power is out. You're going to be affected if certain areas are inaccessible. And so natural disasters are just something that people would rather have less of. And Connecticut definitely has lower natural disasters compared to Florida. So in Florida, you have the giant iguanas. There's giant iguanas are everybody. There's alligators in community lakes. There's a python overpopulation in the Everglades. There's palmetto bugs everywhere. So people are just not interested in that wildlife. In Connecticut, yes, we do have wildlife. The thing you're going to encounter the most is deer. And if you're driving around during 4 months out of the year, there's just deer usually on the side of the road. But they're usually out at dusk and dawn. So we kind of know the days and the times. Well, we kind of know like the seasons and the times of day that deer may be out, but the deer aren't attacking us. They're just near the roads, and we don't want to have any kind of issue with the deer near the roads. The other issue is that we have like a lot of bears, but those bears are in certain counties, not necessarily in all. So because the state of Connecticut is large enough where if you're like, I don't want to deal with any natural disasters, I don't have to worry about a bear. I'm in a county where there are no bears. I work in 4 counties. Only one of them really has like a lot of bears. But for the most part, that's something like you kind of see on the news, and they're in very specific areas. So the wildlife, Brownie, if you could just stay still. Thank you. So the wildlife is definitely a factor for people. When it comes to cost of living, people are like, well, it's cheaper to live in Florida. But we have to add in that insurability has just changed that. So yes, the houses might be 10% less, but when it comes to cost of living, like how much are utilities? In Florida, it seems like it's really hard to get solar panels, whereas in Connecticut, we have lots of grants to get solar panels. In Florida, a lot of the communities have HOA fees. Some of those fees are anywhere $500, $600, $700 a month. So that adds into the cost of living, not just the price of the house, but how much are your HOA fees and what do you get with it? Whereas in Connecticut, HOA fees are usually just for townhouses. We rarely have them for single family homes. So one of my clients is saving HOA fee money, saving car insurance money because it's significantly less here, and then saving on insurance. They could be saving more than $2,000 a month. And who doesn't want an extra $2,000 a month to have? And so I just wanted to give you that information. If you are in Florida and think about leaving Florida and coming to Connecticut, definitely reach out to me. I would love to be able to answer any of your questions. If you need to sell it in Florida and buy in Connecticut, it's something you can do simultaneously. As a Sotheby's agent, there's one agent worldwide reach. So I am able to assist you on both ends to make sure that you're able to move up here smoothly.